here we go. And I better unmute Discord.
Horrible.
There we
Twitter
go.
just read or whatever.
Alright, guys, we are in live with the Shaman. I don't know if you guys have joined the chat yet or not, but I know Tasha's on her cell phone, so that's going to be kind of hard for her to do. Our topic today, live with the Shaman, is how to remember past lives. Now, I know I've had some people jumping up and down really wanted this topic, so here we go. The first thing I want to do is read kind of what I posted in the documentation over here. Remembering past lives is challenging at best, right? Some experience spontaneous memories. Some find those memories of past lives through meditation, astral travel, and there are some cases now, and this has been a long studied scientific situation where some cases kids are born looking for the people of their past lives, or their past life, the recently regressed life, and they have been looking for their family members, loved ones, what have you. And there have been other situations where young children has a part of a spirit in them, right? And they will be 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and all of a sudden they flip. They flip the spirit, or the part of their soul, if you will start to look for these individuals because they have a message for them. And there have been studies where once the message is delivered, and you can imagine the person that the message is for, the look on their face when a 13-year-old shows up and says, "No, you don't understand. I am your husband," or "I am your wife, so-and-so from, and they even have the knowledge that there is absolutely no way this 13-year-old or 12-year-old or whatever could even know. So they're a messenger. They deliver the message, and like a snap, the kid is back. So how what is this thing called past life? What is this thing called remembering, even being able to remember past lives? Now, that being said, in the introduction in place, I'm going to ask Lucy to post the invite or Discord in the chat on Facebook. And I am going to put in invites that never expire. I'm going to start trying to remember to copy and paste the damn things into the text area, if you will. But Live with the Shaman, as well as Open Pagan Church, we simulcast on a podcast over on discordapps.com. So if you're interested in joining in and being heard, go over, get set up, sign in, sign up, and sign on, as it were. So what do you think? I know we only show 2 in channel, but that's okay. I know Cindy is driving, so we're not going to bother her to try to talk about hers. But Lucy is one of our students in the Grove of the Celtic Shaman. So I'm going to put our little Lucy on the spot for a minute, not that I ever do that. Lucy, have you ever remembered anything about past lives? And if so, without going into great detail, because I realize it's a very personal thing, but how did they come to you, if they ever have?
There's A lot of times it's in the shower, out of all places. It's like back in the Egyptian times, but then a part of that is also raw when he was telling me or showing up, like, "Hi, so I'm here," you know? But I mean, I would see glimpses of dancing and of the temples. I also have memories of Victorian times, people dressed in Victorian type dresses back in the old times, like we're sitting at a formal dinner. Um, I really don't have a lot of them. I wonder, you know, like how to find more. I don't know.
Well, do we not first have to accept the possibility? Now, there's no definitive proof of our memory of past lives. I know the first time I went over to Scotland, there were areas that I knew, I knew how to get around in them. Um, some of the castles that we visited my first time over there in 2000, I knew the castle. I had never studied any of the Scottish architecture. I had never been to Scotland prior to 2000. And there were areas all over Scotland that I knew how to traverse. I knew the castles. I knew the certain areas of the castles, what they were used for. And that bemused the hell out of me. You know, how do I know this when I don't know it when I've never been there? And I've had blips, if you will, of past lives as long far back as I can remember. Um, I've had blips of certain deaths that I've encountered in past lives, little memories that have trickled through, if you will. So, and we have a guest. She's always welcome. She's one of our sisters, Tasha. Tasha, have you ever experienced in your path? Because I want people to know that this is not a shaman thing. This is a human thing. This is something that human beings encounter every day. What have you encountered? Anything?
Um, I actually used to do and help people do past life regressions. Um, so yeah, I've had my own, and I've helped multiple people learn more about their past lives. I quit doing it because the toll it was taking on my body and the energy that it was taking, it was just too great for me on a health-wise basis, to walk through past lives with other people in a mental and energy, or yeah, energy specific way.
Yeah, and
So,
I'll tell a little bit about my experience in PLRs a little later. We actually did a full set video on that last year, year before last, I think. What are some of the memories that maybe you have encountered with your own past lives and things that you've come across?
personally, I've seen some of my deaths, um, which makes sense with some of my fears. Um, I have my most interesting one is watching, you study history, or I've studied history and I've known people who have, but when you're awake and you're gone all of a sudden and you're in that moment of history, not as like a main character or whatever, but you're actually seeing yourself live in that, that's that's a hell of a thing to go through.
Oh
And
boy, that'll
and
scare the hell out of you.
yeah, and then you just kind of you startle yourself out of it, and you're like, "Holy shit, I'm sitting in my house and it's 2019 and I was just in the Renaissance period," and I'm going, "Oh, okay. All right." And you have to look at how much time has passed, because what is a fraction of a second here seems like you were there forever.
Now, what you're experiencing is called a spontaneous PLR, spontaneous
Oh yeah.
past life regression. Um,
Yep.
yeah, those can be daunting as hell
Yep.
because they really truly happen at some of the most inopportune times.
Oh yeah.
Um, and but and see here's the thing that you mentioned a while ago that really needs to be brought up. Fears of the unknown. And I'm not talking about the fear of something that you don't understand or the fear of something that you may not know anything about. I'm talking about, I have counseled people that were afraid of the dark. And you get to talking to them and you can learn real quick. They had no issues as kids. They were never locked in a closet as a child. They were never, these particular individuals were never abused as a child. There's no reason why they should be afraid of the dark.
I have one of those,
Yeah, so
Yeah, me too.
but it's not the dark.
don't we all? Yeah. Um, but claustrophobic. There have been,
Mine's water.
huh?
Mine's water.
Okay.
I
There,
used to swim like a fish, and all of a sudden, if it gets too deep, I start panicking and my lungs won't start to work. And
Me
then
too.
I have the past life flash, and I was one of those bitches.
Or you
I,
have a friend push you into a pool and you can't feel the bottom, and oh my god.
yeah,
well, I,
sudden, uncontrollable panic.
yeah, yep.
But
Which
see,
really makes no sense with me because I float. I don't think.
Me too.
I float, but then I have enough buoyancy to float. um,
So
That
do I.
but let's dig a little deeper in how can I consciously using using the hippocampus, using the forward mind, the frontal lobe, where most of our uh, total recall is, getting completely scientific and shamanic with it, right? How can I, as a human being that is taught to question everything, number one, I have to accept the possibility that I was here before. Number two, I have to realize that is this thing that I'm remembering, is it from a dream? Is it from something I read? Is it from a TV show? I've had people come to me with supposed past lives, and I'm like, that sure sounds an awful lot like Braveheart. Or that sure sounds an awful lot like one of the prior movies that I just watched. And through good morning, Sabrina. Um, you have to be able to distinguish the difference between what is an actual past life, what is a dream, what is a fantasy, okay, of what you maybe wish your past lives were, and then you have to accept. And that, boy, let me tell you, that's probably the hardest thing, is accepting the possible reality that you really, truly, actually were here.
when I was doing past life regression for people, um, it was interesting because what past lives would come out, a lot of times people got mad. No, I know I was alive during this time. And if you're telling me I was alive during this time, that's impossible. Well, yeah, but you have to open your mind to the fact that minds play tricks. And if you, like you said, a movie. if you're really into a movie or you're really into studying that period, your brain can start to create something.
Sure.
So there's a difference between that, when I was doing the past life regression, and I think that's what was so difficult, and that's why it took so much energy, and that's why there was so much backlash on my body, because people don't want to accept reality in a lot of times. They want it to be pretty, like a movie, or sometimes not pretty.
Well, and see, therein, comes back to acceptance, right? As a shaman teacher myself, one of the very first things we teach our students is the key to life is acceptance. You have to be able to accept the very things that are uncomfortable to you, the things that aren't necessarily of this world. You have to accept you for who you are. You have to accept where you've been. You have to accept the fact that you can't change the things that you did yesterday, and you damn sure cannot change the things you did in past lives. So in doing a PLR, for those of you that don't know what PLR stands for, it stands for past life regression, like what Tasha was talking about a second ago. Not everyone is capable of doing a guided past life regression. It, like she said, it takes a lot out of you. Now, a lot of people think that past life regressions can be done over the internet. Bullshit. Not correctly. Okay? Past life regressions require, at least for me in my path, past life regressions require some setup, some conversation, boatloads of conversation. I am not fixing to allow someone to come into my office or come into my home to do a PLR and I don't know anything about them. So I spend hours prior to a PLR. A lot of people, like Tasha said, they either want it to be pretty and frilly like the movies, or they want to be able to victimize themselves and say, well, this is why I'm this way, or this is why I'm that way, when in all reality, we choose to be the way we are, okay? I didn't choose my path. I didn't choose my belief. I chose to embrace it, to accept it, to go with it and learn with it. But just like past lives. Go ahead.
There was one past life regression that I did that there's another aspect to what you're doing. I was going, and it got to a very dark spot. And when I do it, I always have a safe area that I can bring people back to.
Yes.
It went completely dark, and this person got very frustrated until I explained, on that life, there is a block there. There is something you are not supposed to know, or at that life, at that point, you are not ready to know or ready to hear. And yes, it can be frustrating, but that's also a part of that acceptance. It's, you have to be ready and prepared to accept the fact that there are things in your past life that you just are not intended to know.
Well, it's absolutely not roses and candy corn, if you will. And it's damn sure not a feather mattress, okay? Hence the term past life. How many times through the years have I had people tell me, oh, I long for the old times? Not me. Hell no.
Nope.
I like being able to go to Walmart. I like being able to order my shit on Amazon. I like my air conditioner, my power, my lights. Now, And they say, no, 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 I mean people. People were of a simpler mind. That's the problem.
Close minded too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
I was
Okay.
just gonna say, I like being a short, little, fat, boisterous bitch with dreadlocks. That's afforded to me in this life, this current, right now.
Yeah. You know, I joke with the nurses at my doctor. They say, well, how tall are you? I said, well, today I'm 5'11" and a half. When I started all of this crap 10 years ago, I was 6'1". And they just, some of them stand there and just, they're completely just taken off the guard. I'm like, yeah, as you get older, you shrink,
You do.
right? And I didn't believe my mother when she told me that. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I just thought I was growing up. Well, as I noticed her own height, my mother, when I was a kid, she was 5'7", 5'8", right? Um, and when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was 6'1". By the time I was 40, I was 6 foot, and I'm like, what the hell? All of my pants are too long. What's going on? So, but herein lies the things, and what I really wanted to touch on was auto fears, right? Uncontrollable auto fears that we touched on a while ago. These things are dangerous because there's no rhyme or reason for them. People go to psychiatrists because of um, because of things like claustrophobia, because of things like aquaphobia or the fear of water, agoraphobia, all of the other
I don't
phobias.
mean to interrupt you, Don. I don't know if there's something going on with your mic or what's, but you're talking, and then it gets quiet, and it's almost cutting off the first part of your words. It might just be me, but if it's not, I wanted to make
No,
sure
it's
that
happening.
okay.
Okay, so could it be that I'm moving up and back on the mic? I mean, I'm moving around quite a bit.
No, it's even the green on your Discord.
Okay, let me move the mic a little bit. All right, so let's see if that's any better.
Okay.
So what we're really looking at is remembering and embracing these past lives in such a way that we can accept where the claustrophobia might come from. Maybe in a past life someone was locked in a dungeon and you have visual architecture of you being locked away in a deep dark hole somewhere, right? So it's just getting worse. Wonderful. I see Sabrina in Facebook chat. Sabrina, is Facebook coming through okay? I mean, I realize we got a lag, but I want to know if it's Discord or if it's Facebook. Although it could be either or. Who the hell knows?
Is that a cat in front of you?
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. That's my microphone.
Oh, okay. I saw something fuzzy.
Whee! I would call it something else, but even though we are an adult channel, I do like to try to keep it rated R plus, if you know what I mean.
This is not fair. I cannot be on Facebook today, and you're having all the fun on Facebook.
Well, I have this real fuzzy thing that's close to my mouth that's not my beard. Yeah, I'll let your visual work on that one. So, what do you think? I mean, the easiest way to remember past lives, I think, is to simply accept them, right? You want to question when you first get a blip, a memory, a thought, okay? You first definitely want to question, is this from a movie I saw? A book I read? A conversation I had with someone, either over the internet, phone, or whatever? Is this a fantasy, maybe? Um, Maybe I wanted to have been here so bad that maybe my brain manifested, like what you said earlier. Maybe my brain manifested this memory. The easy way to test that is to test your knowledge of the surroundings. It was one of the things that we've done a couple of times that I've been over to Scotland. Is I will ask Debbie to turn down this road. What's down this road? Well, I don't know yet, but we need to go down this road, and at the end of the road might be a gatehouse. And I know this gatehouse because I've been there. And I can describe the gatehouse before we've ever go in it. I never knew the damn thing existed. So over time, I eventually just accepted that as a part of my past lives. So how else am I going to know that much about a particular area or a particular time?
So I'm gonna kind of throw a wrench in that.
Okay.
Um, what about the people who are psychic who also are starting to awaken with their past lives? Because when you start noticing or getting the glimpses of your past life, it truly is an awakening. But where is that line there? When you have psychic abilities and then you put that into that scope of a power.
I think there's a difference between psychic capabilities and actually remembering something from your past. Where is the line? I don't know. I
Maybe
think. Go ahead.
I think I'm saying it wrong. Like, I'll just give a personal reference. So with me, I see the dead. So a lot of times when you know how you say, well, I need to turn down this road. I find where, yes, some definitely are past life aspects. But for me personally, there are or has been multiple times that it is the dead coming through and I'm being guided by them. So not necessarily psychic, more of a medium aspect. Sorry.
Okay. To understand your question is how do you know what you're seeing is not from traversing with the dead, but actually traversing someplace you've actually physically been before?
It's not necessarily how do you know, because I've worked with the dead so long and because I've done the past life regressions, I can tell personally. It's just some people might not, when you're talking about a new path or a new way, or people who are unsure about what's happening even in their life, there is that differential between past life and having other abilities. It's making, how we had the conversation where what you think you're saying makes sense and then you're trying to say it doesn't make sense.
Oh no, absolutely, I get it.
Right now.
I do get it, yeah. Well, I think I think as human beings, we analyze it too much. I really do. Most especially from the standpoint of a shaman, because damn it, we analyze everything. But in the back of our head lies that training of acceptance. As someone who has done past life regressions myself, the very first one I ever did was in 2000 or '01. I hadn't really given it much thought, but I went through myself a spontaneous regression. And I don't mind saying it scared the shit out of me. But I also came to realize that if I do a guided PLR, I have the client in front of me where I can physically see them. And of course, the earlier ones I did, the only thing I could do was use a cassette tape recorder, because that was prior to me being able to afford a video camera. But it got to the point where when I would do a PLR, I would make sure that the client understood this will be videotaped, and you will get the only copy of the videotape. In fact, you will see me take it out of the video recorder. I don't want a copy of it. It's none of my business. This is for you, not for me. But the one thing that I've refused to allow to happen to me is for me to get pulled into their regression with them, because I was that anchor. I was that anchor when they went back, and I would tell them on their way back, you need to listen to my voice. If this voice tells you get out of there, then you have no choice but to get out of there. And I think once that's implanted in the psyche, I'm not required to go back with them. And you're right, a lot of the things that these people see in past life regressions pisses them off, because so much of it is not the white fluffy bunny crap that they hoped it would be. And of course, when they come out, you're telling them what happened. The first thing they want to tell you is, no, you're full of shit. Okay, I get it, no problem. But take the video, take it home, watch the damn thing, or watch it here if you want, right? We'll plug the damn thing into a computer, or we'll plug the camera into a computer, and we will bring it across, and you can watch it sitting right here, because your words, your actions, your reactions, and everything you went to, the things that you said, are on the tape.
And it's interesting because when I did past life regression, I don't deal with people in person. I deal with them strictly through an internet aspect. It's part of what I have going on personally. And so I don't have, I guess I have done past life regression in a one-to-one basis. I've done a couple. And the difference is yes, when you're one-on-one, you can be the anchor. You don't go into the regression with them. When I do it through a medium, through whether it's a phone or a computer or whatever, and that extra energy, I have to be a split. I have to be that anchor while I can pull them out. And it takes tons of preparation beforehand, but I have to go into that regression with them, because not being on a personal basis, not being on a one-to-one where I'm looking at them, I'm being right there with them, I have to be able to mentally pull them out. So yeah.
Better than I own that Gungar Den, I'll tell you for sure.
I didn't understand any of what you just said.
Yeah, it's just an old saying my grandfather used to use.
Oh no, your mic literally is
Yeah,
Oh,
you were really
I
it's
breaking up
bad.
there.
shit. Sorry about that. It apparently seems to be Discord because, according to bitrate and everything on the upload, some days we have trouble where Discord's tripping, and some days we have trouble where Facebook is tripping. And quite frankly, I think it might well be my internet service provider is tripping. So, but I've done a couple of phone regressions. Those are difficult enough for me, anyway. The biggest thing is getting people to remember what they've actually seen and not remember the fantasy of what they wanted to see. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
So
And that's when I say I have to prepare a lot before. It comes with I set up an appointment. I used to set up an appointment 2 weeks from the time that they want it because they have to mentally be prepared. They have to be in that almost spontaneous, I'm there to help them. So it's very taxing. It's very if they're not willing to prepare. And I know the minute I connect with them, I know if they've prepared or not.
oh
And
yeah,
I have told people, I'm sorry, I can't do this for you.
yeah.
Well, why not? Well, because you didn't prepare yourself. We're going to go through this regression and you're not going to remember any of it. Therefore, it's not going to be beneficial to you. You're going to end up having nightmares. You're going to end up having all these problems because I hit on a subconscious or something entwined in your memory that you weren't willing to go those extra steps to remember, and it's going to fuck you up.
Well, therein lies one of the biggest problems with trying to remember past lives. Okay? One of the problems that people have is, like I said earlier on in the broadcast, acceptance. Acceptance that it's not fluffy bunny. Acceptance that the lifestyle of past human beings is absolutely nothing what it is today in 2019 at the time of this broadcast. Our lives are different. Our philosophies are different. Our education is different. And the whole architecture of who we are is different.
Nope.
So
The mentality.
say again?
The mentality that you have.
Yeah.
And some of the past lives, they're just surviving. And in a current life, they might never know what it's like just to survive. They never, they might not understand that. So if they're not ready to hear that, if they're not ready to feel that, because with a past life regression, it's not just, oh, I'm seeing a picture. No, you feel that.
Yeah, you
Feel the
relive
emotion
that.
and
Yeah.
pain and
Yeah.
But I think laziness plays a part in that as well.
Oh boy.
Because people are very lazy nowadays.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. I grew up on a farm, on a ranch. I've worked my whole life. I've never known anything but physical labor. And over the last 8 to 10 years, with my body doing the things it's doing, for me, it's a beat down just to take out the trash or bring in the trash cans. As long as I'm riding the mower, it's fine. But when I get off of the mower, I have to psych myself up just to put the damn thing away.
Yeah.
But the memories of a younger time, and I don't mean that as a younger me, I mean the memories of a younger time when I was older than I am now, doing more than I'm capable of doing today. They're very vivid. Now, is it the same memory as a freshly watched movie would be? No, no, not at all. It's a blip, right? It's a blip in time. And sometimes it's not even seen. You'll hear something, you'll feel something, you'll hear a conversation you may have had with somebody years and years ago prior to something that could have taken place in this lifetime. You have knowledge of places and things that you haven't studied or looked at in this lifetime. So I think the whole point to past lives is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not concrete. It's not concrete as I did this, I know I did it, and I have the proof. There's no proof. The proof is in the perception. The proof is being able to go someplace you've never been and know your way around, having never researched it, having never seen pictures of it, anything of that nature. Some people, I have been very fortunate a couple of times to realize that experience, to have realized that proof and that ability to do things. Many do not. So, in retrospect, and to coin the whole point of the broadcast, is the simplest way in the world to remember past lives, if you will, quote unquote, is to accept those possibilities and not force the memories. Don't overanalyze them either. And don't take a movie and turn it into a memory. That the people that have done past life regressions, the people that have done spiritual counseling, guided meditations, if you will, of one kind or the other, we know. I mean, we've probably seen the same movies you have, because a lot of those movies are old enough that before some of you were born. So those of you that are curious later to watch the pre-recorded broadcast of Live with a Shaman, don't bring television ideologies to a practitioner, not just a shaman, but to any practitioner of any field of practice that has been doing it long enough that they're going to see through that which you say you're seeing.
Can I add to that?
Yes, absolutely.
And don't take it for granted. I actually had somebody who I was going to do a regression for. They're like, well, why do I have to do anything? You're the one that's going to do it. Well, I'm not going to expend my energy, and I'm not going to go through this hell with you, possible hell, and then not have you. So please do not take it for granted. Do not. It is a vital change in your mentality. It's so much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna live through your past lives with you. You're out of your freaking mind. I'm not going to allow myself to be damaged by your past lives. And this was one of the things here at the bottom end of the broadcast that I wanted to share with you guys. My very first PLR that I did, our average PLR sessions were between 6, 8, and 12 hours. I've never been fortunate enough to be able to do a PLR less than about 6 hours. Never been that lucky. But the first one I ever did was 12 hours. Of course, again, it was the first one I ever did. We had the free PLR conversation, the council session where I'm asking key questions to find out what your awakened state is, and this was all recorded. I want to know what your awakened state is. Damn, people in Discord seem to be having trouble hearing me today for some reason. But the mistake that I made is when I took the client back into regression, I did not disconnect the physical part of their body. I did not disconnect the physical portion of their body. Now what I mean by that is, when you're taking an individual back or you're going back, you want to disconnect the physical interaction, such as the arms, the hands, the feet, and the legs. Because when I took this individual back through their regression, I ended up with a dislocated jaw, a black eye, before I could get them to disconnect their body. The office I had at the time was more or less destroyed. Didn't take us long to put it back together. Huh?
Fight or flight.
Yeah. But if you don't disconnect their physical body when you're going back on regression, you can hurt yourself or others. So this is one of the things that I've always said when it comes to regressions. I would rather do one face-to-face. I will do them over the phone. I'm apprehensive. But you guys like Tasha and some others I've talked to that can do them over chat on the internet. Hey man, more power to you. But in drawing to a close, and I want to give you your Sunday back. Okay. Thank you to those who are watching live and to those of you interacted in Discord. I apologize if Discord didn't come through clearly. By all means, feel free to go back and watch the pre-recorded broadcast later. Remembering past lives is first accepting the possibility of past lives. Understanding that past lives are as much of a part of us as present life is. We have our things that we need to remember. We have our things that we're incapable of remembering for whatever reason. If you've experienced a lot of trauma in this lifetime, I don't recommend you try to do a past life regression upon yourself or to try to do one spontaneously. You want someone that you trust there with you. Remembering past lives is acceptance. An acknowledgement that it's not a part of a movie. It's not Fluffy Bunny. Our ancestors and the people that lived before us had hellacious lives. They were born working and they died working. As always, folks, I want to thank you for watching Live with the Shaman. Check us out on Discord. We will be uploading to all of our archive pages, YouTube, Tumblr, Flickr, and all of that. Thank you for watching. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next time right here on Live with the Shaman.